Maybe a little more of a zig or a zag.
Damn out, guys! Run away! Run away!
Yeah, there's the wind turbines that, this is the hub. And pretend that I'm thinking about something.
But the writing is in Arabic, right?
In Persian.
Well, that is Persian.
Persian, yeah.
So it's not in Arabic. It's not Arabic writing then.
Actually, it's
Or do you use the same
alphabets.
script?
The alphabets are similar.
Thank you, Ali. Hi.
Thank you, Ali.
You're welcome.
So what's your work?
No, because I organized a previous meeting.
And this was the.
Because it's not, it's about like, it's a direction.
I
Might as well get this wonderful GEIA conference officially going. Is everybody awake out there? Are you ready to GEIA? Well, my talk is basically a welcome and a little bit of an overview of what we'll be doing here for the next 2.5 days. The first thing we want to do is welcome you, and then also thank all of our sponsors. And you'll be hearing, thank you very much for hosting us. We want to give a special thanks to Ollie. Where are you, Ollie? Hey, Ollie and Guy. There's Guy, and of course, Claire. She's outside right now doing some registrations. Thank you very much for welcoming us and providing us with a wonderful venue and delicious food.
And it's the only really international program that tries to provide global emission inventories and global emissions of chemical reactive species. You might not remember, but it was created by Tom Gradle, who at that time believed that it was high time to try to get inventory at a spatial resolution of 1 degree, 100 kilometers. Well, since then, you have done a lot of work to at least increase the resolution and probably also increase the values of the emissions.
It crosses geographic boundaries, it crosses disciplines, and we're trying to address the most pressing global change issues. So the community is led by a scientific steering committee, as I mentioned. Our current co-chairs are Mark Lawrence.
Continuing. So again, my pleasure to be here. I really look forward to the next 3 days.
A few words on this program. Copernicus is a European program that is led by the European Commission in order to give Europe the possibility to give.
So let's see if I do this correct. Yes. And then so we were trying to phrase several research questions that could come back after the sessions have been done. So the first one, and I'll have to go very fast because we have 5 minutes and Greg will be waiting like that.
Of 8.5 watt per meter in 2100. So
The interesting thing is that sometimes we, for instance, every day, at the breakfast table, I look at this world view of NASA. Look, where is the dust event? You see
It looks really funky how all this converted to PDF. Pushing the satellites are really pushing the developments. And this is in the respect when you look at how what
until now. You will want to know.
important issue that has been
And
discussed.
observations, if you had combined these, because top-down and observations are pretty similar, that would be one of the largest as well. So.
And then we have the documentation. So this is the way the community is reacting to it. It is really a team that puts together these conclusions. You've seen us quite busy at the rest of the coffee breaks. And it is because it's not only the group with Greg and Claire and Paulette and me that are doing this, but it's also our scientific committee, which we are very thankful for. So that's a very active one, and have helped us compile this. It is the 18th GEIA conference, and we have had 107 participants from 30 different countries, and it's good to see that we're beginning to have clusters, so that we're beginning to have groups that also are from not only the traditional ones, but we have more and more countries coming in. We have 3 thematic sessions with inventories and trends, top-down emission analysis, and then the environmental, climate, health, and societal impacts. We have 5 working groups with partner reports. We have now working groups in GEIA, the Latin America and Caribbean working group, the China, the non-methane VOCs, the urban, and we have the cooperation with Chile, which is a very good partnership. The demonstrations have been standard. I've seen that we've had it in the last meetings. It's ECHAL and it's SETS, but it's becoming more and more important to see the evolution of the tools, which is also very good to see. And we had a town hall discussion with community priorities. And it's really sort of, we've become of age, and it took us about 27 years to become of age. But after those 27 years, we began in 1990, and now finally we've had 18 conferences. So because of this, because of becoming of age, we also see that some of our funders begin to go away and pass away. So it was an homage now we want to make to Ivar Isaacsen, who was really a good friend of GEIA that was there from the beginning, really promoting meetings, helping us again, handing up his hand and saying, we can do that in Oslo. And it was a meeting in 92, and this is the picture of the meeting in 2009 where we were in Oslo. And you see Ivar there, which is in the photo too. And Ivar was really a very important person for the group in Oslo developing environmental chemistry and atmospheric chemistry. He was a professor at the University of Oslo that really cooperated very intensively with colleagues at NCAR. I think he and Kim were together with the Mozart model, with the chemistry exchange. So we have a lot of good links between the Norwegian expertise and the US expertise, and Ivar was central in that. He also looked at the emissions from the beginning, saying this is something that goes into the models, are extremely important to evaluate with the help of this top-down analysis that now we're seeing evolving. So he was one of those pioneers of the top-down analysis. And I think it's good to remember who we are. It's one of the consequences of becoming of age. Another of the consequences of becoming of age is to see also evolution. We've had many different chairs. We are having groups that are evolving. And one of the parts that I think it's important is that in this period that Greg and I have been chairs of GEIA, we've been working in GEIA since 2012. And we see the periods as 3 and 3 year periods, so we are about 6 years. So this will be my last meeting as a chair, but it will be not my last meeting. I will continue, and I will continue in the scientific committee. And for Greg, it will be a bit sort of, you will continue a bit more because we think the chairs have to be with some overlap so that the new ones don't come, as it happened to us that both Claire and Alex stop at the same time. We think it can be good if we now do it. We had Claire all the time, so that was a good part. But the thing is that in this period, we have really evolved from a part where we were seeing ourselves as input providers to other types of sciences, a bit the accounting and with the big idea that we had gridded inventories for everybody, so that we had that part of the gridding inventories. So from accounting to science, that was something that we put in our first conference in Toulouse in 2012 when we began as
part of the ambition. We want to see GEIA evolving on this, and we think that during this period the evolution has been very quick, and that we see that part of changes. We are really not only providing inputs, we are providing now science that is serving society and supporting environmental policies. We were thinking very much that GEIA was about communication, science and advice, and we were trying to promote, this is the first picture we made, this is not something we want to communicate so much, it's too complicated, but it's the first picture Greg and I made when we began working together. What are we going to do with GEIA in this period? And what you see there is this wanting to link together the scientific community, the operational community that we saw evolving into the air quality forecasting, and we see more and more activities on this area, and the regulatory community, so that we see that these linkages are important and that we need to serve them with good communication, good advice and science. So this is a part that we see, it's been a bit the period. In that period we've also become more transparent on how people come into the steering committee, how do we develop things. So we have a steering committee meeting at the end of this part where we go through understanding more how GEIA is and how the working groups work. And then it is all about networking. It's all about communication. That's our first part in GEIA. And when we go then through the conclusions of what we've had, the first thing maybe is to say the conclusions of the town hall. We had a topic that was from emission science, and we call ourselves science. One of the things we did also when we came in, GEIA was first an the global emission inventory activity, and it was emission inventory activity, and we thought emission inventories look too much as an input, so we changed a bit the name. And now GEIA is called the Global Emission Initiative. And that's a bit sort of the part that we changed there. And with that initiative, that is a communication, we've chosen the topic emission sciences for a healthy environment, thinking a bit on the impacts and the consequences. And in our town hall, we wanted to identify recommended actions on how we continue as a community and priority topics, which we will see the ones that we did here were very much ones inspired by the conference, but we will find them also in all the reports from the different sessions. What was interesting is that this beginning with the top-down activities, that's become a standard, the top-down analysis has become almost like a standard session in our meetings. It's also a part that we see this is extremely important. We have it as a priority topic, but we have it also as a recommendation to continue using these measurements to improve the emissions. We also think that it's important to communicate. One of the interesting results was saying, let's improve resolution so that we can facilitate the communication with especially the health community. And then it was the big things about documentation and transparency. We are after all scientists and we want to make sure that we are traceable and that we can show our errors so that they can be falsified. Really, in this type of world we are living in, where falsification is really a very important principle of science. We have to think about that we need not to prove that we are right, we need to prove that we are not wrong. And that's really a very important thing to remember when we see how politics are evolving and how society is evolving now. So there we are trying to promote our transparency and our possibilities for better falsification with the top-down validation of the emissions, with models, observations, and all types of observations we are getting in. Dialogue again and communication to especially the user communities was pointed out, but many people were also talking about the communities that are the suppliers of the industry, those that are the polluted communities, that's also important. In the priority topics, as uncertainties comes as again one of the constants in our work, but also the possibilities of this multi-component analysis now that it's bringing us more possibilities of evaluating how well or bad we are doing our approaches. With emerging pollutants, we didn't have a very large discussion on that, but they are coming. And rare metals, very much of the hope in the next conference we can really put some parts on these rare metals. What it means really for the solar energy, we're talking about renewables, that will change our world quite a lot. And we need to begin thinking what the emissions will be with the new industries that are coming in. So I hope that this is something that we think when we put in the emerging pollutants for next time. Again, the observations of vertical profiles, they seem to be repeating every single meeting, but continues to be a priority in our work. We have the chairs of the session one. Thank you very much for your help to provide this summary. Where again, in the summary of inventory and trends, where we find this communication and linking as crucial. This is both inside and outside the emission inventory community, and that's also the part that GEIA tries to promote, so that we can, at least, we have internal and external communication. The priorities, again, are the temporal emission profiles with emission heights. Some basic data that needs higher accuracy, and that was interesting. We need to begin thinking about land use coverage and the surface parameters, how to work on urbanization, how to increase really both the accuracy and the accuracy and the temporal capabilities of the trends. Uncertainties not only over time, but also in the spatial distribution. So when we're talking about higher resolution, is both temporal and spatial. And that's the temporal part that appears here. We need to have near real time, and of course not only the projections, but we need to begin thinking of getting into those in a scenario context. Then it comes the question, which is an interesting question, on which way to go. How should we get the directions of linking dynamic features into static inventories when they are not real time? This is a very interesting question. That can be something for a session in the next part, but it's worth thinking further about it. We had a session then which is very much facilitated by two of our main supporters, NASA and ESA, which is the satellite data with the top-down inventories. And there it was really very good to see the Swiss group, what they are doing in Switzerland, with the fact that they are already using inversions to report to UNFCCC. And the fact that we are getting this type of analysis, really getting into some of the regulatory parts. It was also very interesting to see the glass fairing in Venezuela and the analysis that were there. So there were some highlights that we thought was mainly good to see here. We had a lot of analysis from China and India, the Middle East. And this analysis of the multi-components were the analysis done in the Netherlands with methane and ethane, and comparing the two to understand better the origin of anthropogenic versus non-anthropogenic parts. It was interesting, or industrial versus non-industrial. The other parts that was interesting, it was the constraints of the OH and the ammonia emissions with the mobile observatories that they are using in Stuttgart. That was also very, very good to see that we are moving into the understanding of the observations that we are using. There were some needs still and recommendations. There's still a large variability in the models that are used in both satellite retrieval and in inversions. So there's a need especially to begin working with the documentation of those and the explanation of the uncertainties that are associated. We were discussing the influence of land surface, which is very similar to the recommendations on the first session, and also about both the land surface state and the changes in the emission estimates. The fact that we need to get error statistics with observations that are associated to them. And of course, all this understanding of errors and uncertainties is a way to get together to check the most difficult part, which is the covariance matrices that we need to put into our analysis. Aerosol speciation and the aging processes, vertical profiles, the need for more sensitivity analysis and the need for multi-species analysis was something that was repeated very much in the conclusions from these presentations, and it's part of what we see also was in the discussions on the town hall. The third session was again about the need to look for impacts, improve our understanding of the health impacts, not only at developed country basis, but we have to begin working with other parts of the world, and this is really something that we need to make sure that the other countries are there. The health impact analysis is even worse developed in terms of how far we've gone than what we have in emission inventories. So it would be good to reach to those communities to make sure that they understand what can be done also at areas that is not only the traditional developed countries. We've had the importance of the compositions of and the speciation in the emissions to understand the health effects, and this is really the part that we need to see that's totally different in certain parts of the world, and we need to really make sure that the health impacts are analyzed with this variability on the regional variability are taken into account. The communication comes again, strengthening the communication and links between data providers and data users from our data, and the need really that when we communicate the health, we also communicate the risks and the awareness on the importance of these impacts. And there again is people. And it is how do we relate with persons, how do we relate with each other. And I think one of the parts when we discussed this conference yesterday, we had a small summary of what do you think of the conference. And the small group that we were discussing it, we thought, well, it's been very good. It's been seeing how we are beginning to interact. And the interact has been now so many different groups that are acting all the time. So we're beginning to be people understanding how to communicate. So it's also like we are becoming more of a crowd intelligence, and we are beginning to know how to really develop that type of the hive that we are having. So in this conference, it's been very good to see so many new scientists coming in. That has been very good. It's the thing of becoming of age. We renew ourselves. And it's also the fact that we are getting better in this communication. And it is there where awareness, knowing that people now will come. And when we begin analyzing the health effects, it will not be only two experts. We will be working with public, we will be working with scientists, we will be working with medics, and we have to understand that these links are very important when we carry out our work. So it's going to be a lot of challenges. We are thinking of special areas and the regionalization. We are not sure yet, but we would like to meet you in South America in 2019. You know that we've changed and we've had conferences now very, very much together. We had one in 2015 and now we have the conference in 17. But it is really to get into the same extent as the IGAC so that we don't collide with them. So that's the part that's why we will meet in 19 now. And we hope it is in South America. We're putting here some parts from Chile, we'll see. It's always depending on this about saying that we are willing to get that responsibility. And it is also, we want to say it quickly because it's getting more and more difficult to get paid for a trip so long. And if we do it on time, and that's what it's a bit of our commitment, we will tell you soon enough so that the tickets can be done in 1 year before, because then the prices are totally different. So this is really something, keep looking at it, because we will really try to get that. And with this, I want to thank you all. I hope the picture looks good. Okay, it looks better there than in the computer. I want to thank you all, and especially our supporters. It's IGAC, NOAA, IGAC, NASA, and ESA. They have been paying for the trips of the young scientists. And we are very, very thankful for them, for that type of support, because this is really what enhances our possibilities with the community. We're extremely thankful to Max Planck and again, Guy and Claire for what you've done here, opening again the march, and of course, now it's Alid. It's been very good on this, and then we have Eileen working for us. But the best thing is all of you, so thank you very much for being here, and have a very good trip home.